The air in the kitchen felt thick, like it was holding its breath. My hand trembled as I gripped the edge of the counter, the cold granite biting into my palm. 30 years of marriage, 30 years of shared mornings and whispered promises, and it all unraveled in the time it took to read a single text message on her phone. Meet me tonight. Same place. Don't tell him. The words seared into my brain, each syllable a blade twisting deeper. I stood there, staring at the glowing screen, while the world I'd built with Ellen shattered like glass underfoot. The clock on the wall ticked too loudly, its rhythm mocking the chaos in my chest. I could still smell the coffee she'd brewed an hour ago, the faint vanilla of her favorite creamer lingering. She was upstairs, humming softly, oblivious to the storm brewing below. How could she not feel the weight of her secret? How could she smile at me over breakfast, her hazel eyes crinkling, while carrying this lie? My knees buckled, and I sank into a chair, the wood creaking under my weight. I wanted to scream, to hurl her phone against the wall, but instead I sat frozen, drowning in questions I wasn't ready to answer. It started weeks ago, though I didn't see it then. Small things. Her phone face down on the table. A new password she didn't share, the way she'd linger in the bathroom. The door locked, her voice hushed. I'd dismissed it, chalking it up to her needing space. 30 years together breeds familiarity, not suspicion. Or so I thought. I'd rationalized every red flag. The late nights at work, the sudden interest in yoga classes, the perfume she hadn't worn since our 20s. She's just rediscovering herself. I told myself, proud of her for it. Now those excuses tasted like ash. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, light and unhurried, each one tightening the knot in my gut. My fingers tightened around her phone, the screen still lit with the damning message. Part of me wanted to shove it in her face, demand answers, but another part, a weaker, terrified part, wanted to pretend I'd never seen it. Maybe it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. Maybe him wasn't me. But deep down I knew. The truth was a splinter lodged in my heart, impossible to ignore. Tom. Her voice floated into the kitchen, soft and warm, like it always was. You okay down there? I swallowed hard, my throat dry as sandpaper. Yeah. I managed, my voice sounding foreign, strained. I slid her phone back onto the counter, exactly where she'd left it, and forced my hands into my pockets to hide their shaking. She appeared in the doorway, her auburn hair catching the morning light, a faint smile on her lips. She wore the sweater I'd bought her last Christmas, the one she said made her feel safe. The irony burned. You look pale, she said, tilting her head, concern flickering in her eyes. Was it genuine? Or was it part of the act? Didn't sleep well? I wanted to laugh, a bitter, broken sound. Instead, I shrugged. Just thinking. My gaze drifted to her phone and her eyes followed. For a split second, her smile faltered, her fingers twitching at her side. She recovered quickly, crossing the room to pour herself more coffee, but I saw it, the crack in her facade. About what? She asked, her tone too casual, like she was tiptoeing around something fragile. Us, I said, the word heavy with accusation I didn't yet voice. Her hand paused mid-pour, coffee splashing onto the counter. She laughed a nervous trill, and grabbed a towel to wipe it up. Us. What's got you so philosophical this morning? She turned to face me, leaning against the counter. Her posture relaxed but her eyes sharp, searching. I could have confronted her then. The words were there, clawing at my throat. Who is he? How long? Why? But I didn't. Not yet. I needed to know more, to understand the depth of her betrayal before I let it consume me. Just reflecting, I said, forcing a smile that felt like a grimace. 30 years is a long time, Ellen. Her expression softened, and she crossed the room, resting a hand on my arm. Her touch, once a comfort, now felt like a lie. It is, she said quietly. But it's been a good 30 years, hasn't it? I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the text message loomed like a shadow, and every memory we'd built, every late-night talk, every shared laugh, every quiet moment, felt tainted. Yeah, I lied, my voice barely above a whisper. It has. The day dragged on, each hour a slow torture. I watched her, searching for more clues, my mind spiraling. She left for yoga at 6, her gym bag slung over her shoulder, her smile too bright as she kissed me goodbye. I stood at the window, watching her car disappear down the street, my heart pounding with a mix of dread and resolve. I couldn't stay here, suffocating in this house that no longer felt like ours. I grabbed my keys and followed her. The city was alive with evening traffic, headlights blurring in the drizzle. Her car was easy to spot, a silver sedan weaving through the streets. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as I trailed her at a distance. She didn't go to the yoga studio. Instead, she pulled into a dimly lit parking lot behind a bar I'd never heard of. My stomach churned as I parked across the street, watching her step out, her movements quick, purposeful. She glanced around, then slipped inside. I waited, my breath shallow, my pulse a deafening drumbeat. Minutes stretched into eternity. Then I saw him, a man in a dark jacket, his face obscured by the rain. He entered the same bar, and my world tilted. I didn't need to see his face to know. The way he moved, the way the air seemed to shift around him, confirmed what my heart already feared. I don't remember crossing the street or pushing open the bar's door. The air inside was thick with cigarette smoke and cheap whiskey, the jukebox playing some mournful tune. There they were, in a corner booth, her hand resting on his, their heads bent close. Her laugh, my laugh, the one I thought was reserved for me, echoed across the room. My vision tunneled, the edges blurring, as rage and grief collided in my chest. "Ellen," I said, my voice cutting through the noise. Her head snapped up, her eyes wide with shock. The man turned, his face unremarkable but his guilt unmistakable. For a moment no one spoke. The bar seemed to hold its breath. "Tom," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I can explain." "Don't," I said, the word sharp enough to cut. I didn't want her excuses, her lies. I turned and walked out, the rain soaking through my jacket, my shoes slapping against the wet pavement. 30 years, and it took 30 seconds to decide. I wasn't coming back. As I drove away, the city lights blurring through my tears, I realized the twist wasn't her betrayal. It was mine. The man in the bar wasn't a stranger. He was my brother. And the secret they shared wasn't an affair. It was a plan to surprise me with a retirement party, a celebration of our life together. But the texts, the lies, the locked doors, they'd fractured something that couldn't be rebuilt. I'd seen her guilt, her fear, and I'd assumed the worst. Now the truth was a different kind of betrayal, one I'd inflicted on myself.